And the first question is in the name of David Shearer.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To the Prime Minister, does he stand by all his statements?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Yes.
Supplementary question, David Shearer.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Why does he stand by his statement on the prices New Zealanders are paying for power? Quote, I think that they are paying a price in relation to the environment we find ourselves in.
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, because it's true.
Supplementary question, David Shearer.
Did he fulfil his undertaking to the House yesterday to check the figures that show New Zealand households will pay an extra $370 on average for power because his government insists on taking out $1.16 billion in Transpower dividends?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, no, but what I did two things yesterday, actually, Mr. Speaker. One was I went and looked on the Infratil website to see how they are bagging the Labor Party for misleading the country.
Point of order.
Piece of information has nothing to do with the question.
I think on this occasion, the Prime Minister has adequately answered the question. Supplementary question, David Shearer.
Mr. Speaker. Does he accept that pulling dividends out of a company that needs to invest $5 billion to strengthen the network means that family power bills are hit twice? First, to pay for the upgrade, and then second, to pay for his government's dividend, and if not, why not?
Mr. Speaker, no. Dividends actually make no difference in terms of the pricing of power. I'm surprised the member doesn't know that. What actually sets the transmission part of pricing is the Commerce Commission's WACC charging. It's got nothing to do with dividends. Mr. Speaker, secondly, yes, Transpower has gone through a substantial upgrade. By the way, it started under Labor in 2005 when it invested $252 million. And then in 2006 we invested $288 million. So yes, it's invested about $3 billion for which it will get its WACC return, and that obviously has some impact. Mr. Speaker, I suspect that what the Leader of the Opposition should do is he should go and look at this SOE, and then he should go and look at another SOE called New Zealand Post, because they've got a letter waiting for him from the Labor Party caucus.
Goodness me. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Supplementary question. Order.
That was a stray.
Supplementary question, David Shearer.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does he think it's fair that his cabinet awarded the CEO of Mighty River Power a 34% increase on top of a $500,000 retention bonus at the same time as forcing New Zealand families to pay more than $370 extra in power?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Well, Mr. Speaker, the decisions on remuneration are made by the board of Mighty River Power. So the board of directors at Mighty River Power said to Doug Heffernan, their chief executive, Doug, we love you. But we know in the Labor Party, no one would go to David Shearer and say, we love you.
That is a supplementary question, David.
To the Prime Minister, is he saying, therefore, that his cabinet did not tick off the approval for the CEO to be awarded a 34% pay increase and $500,000 retention bonus, and if not, why not?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, what I'm saying is decisions of compensation are made by the board. Those decisions are held by the board. They may well tell the government under no surprises, but they're made by the board. Well, what were you on the letter or not? Actually, last night I see your name.
No need to bring... There is... Order! There's no need to bring the Speaker into this debate. Supplementary question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Is he aware that under the Labor government it did not take dividends from Transpower and instead invested it back into the company rather than having to take dividends out and then ask consumers to pay for that?
Order!
Mr. Speaker.
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, Well, maybe I can answer that question by asking a question. Were Labor... I can see why your caucus meeting went so badly yesterday.
The Prime Minister just addressed the question.
Okay, I'll address the question, Mr. Speaker. Was Labor the government in 2002? Because if they were, they took a dividend from Transpower. Were they the government in 2003? Because if they were, they took a dividend from Transpower. Were they the government in 2004? If they were, they took a dividend from Transpower. Were they the government in 2000?
Order. I have a point of order from the Honourable Anna
Mr. Speaker, I believe that in a question time, the members of the opposition ask the questions and the ministers answer. What we've had from the Prime Minister is a series of questions back to the Labor Party.
Order.
Point of order. Speaking to the point of order.
I need no assistance from the Prime Minister. The question was asked and the Prime Minister chose his way of answering it. It was addressed. Further supplementaries? Question number 2. Order. I have a point of order from the... Order.
Supplementary question.
Supplementary question from the Right Honourable Winston Peters.
How does the Prime Minister justify paying $1.9 million to feed the schools programs and then $1.7 million to the CEO of Muddy River Power? How can that possibly be equitable or fair?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, well, the two are not correlated. For a start off, you can make it. The government spends about $70-odd billion a year, so you can go and draw any particular thing. But Mr. Speaker, in the end, the compensation for the Chief Executive of Mighty River Power is determined by the board. It might be that he happens to doing a good job. I know David Shearer is not, but Doug Heffernan is.
Supplementary question, Materia Ture.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Given the Prime Minister's statement that he opposes a conscience vote on the Sky City Convention Centre bill, what pressure has he or his office placed on national MPs to vote against their conscience on the first reading of the bill?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I never said I oppose that. What I said is all national MPs will be voting for the legislation, and the reason they'll be voting for it is because this party went on the campaign trail and campaigned on this issue. Every single member of this party was elected on the back of that policy, just like the members of the Green Party were elected on some of the mad policies they campaigned on.
Question number 2, Honi Harawira. Order.
Tēnā koe, Mr. Speaker. Kia ora.